Hi, my name is Chris Legros. For the last 8 months, I've been working on the i3 project, developing a new purchase requisition flow for PeopleSoft. Today I'm going to show you how to create a requisition and how to approve that requisition. So what we have on the screen right now is the landing page for purchase requisition. We have two tabs at the top. We have Find Existing Value and we have Add a New Value. Over time, you will develop a long list of requisitions that you can review. Then you would go through this tab right here. Today, I'm just going to click through the Add a New Value, which is clicking the Add button, and it takes us to the Purchase Requisition screen. You'll notice that on the header level, which is right across here, it's pre-populated my information. So it has my name, the requisition date, the origin, which is an online entry, which will be all requisitions. Currency code is going to default to Canadian, and an accounting date, which again will default to today's date. This information will default based on whoever logs into the system. All employees of the college can be a requester of a purchase requisition. So that information will preload into those fields. If we just come down a little further, we have an Add Comments field. This is where the requester can put in a comment, and this again is a free text field that can be directed to the supplier, which would show up on the purchase order, so they would click this box. Or it could be directed to accounts payable, which is the voucher. A voucher is created from the invoice that is received from the supplier. Show it receipt could be shown at the receiving staff who are receiving the goods at the college, or approval justification. This requisition will go through an automated online approval process, and the comment could be directed to the people who are approving the requisition. There also is an attach a file feature here. The system will accept PDF, text, or any Office document attachment. So we'll go back to the requisition and just scroll down. We're now down at the line level here. We're going to work on the Details tab, the Ship to Due Date tab, and the Supplier Information tab to help create the requisition. The first tab we have here is the description. This is obviously how you describe what you want to buy. It is a 254-character free text field that people can enter information. I will just put a quick description of an item that we will buy. Computer server, we do a return, and you'll see that that populates the description field. We're going to tab over to quantity, and I will put quantity 1. We'll then tab over to unit of measure. Unit of measure is a mandatory field in PeopleSoft, which is new to Seneca. We have pre-populated approximately 15 unit of measures. I believe 90+% of the time we will be using each, and I'll just click that, and that populates that. The next category, the next field we have is category. Category helps define the item that we're buying, but it also helps the accounting staff and the requester select an account for where the purchase will be charged to. So instead of trying to remember a numeric value, we've put in categories, and it's a descriptor of the actual product that you're trying to buy. So at this point, we have approximately 100 categories built into the system. Because we're buying a server, I'm going to select computer 5-year, which would be the depreciation or the depreciation account that we'd use for a server that we'd buy at the college. We're then going to tab over to price, and I'm going to put $750,000 for this expensive server. Then we're going to go to this tab, Ship to Due Date. You'll notice that the Ship to has been pre-populated. This again is based on my user preference. Being located at Markham, it populates that field with MK for Markham. We have all the other campuses loaded into the system, so it could be changed. This is really going to populate on the PO and tell the supplier where to send the goods. We need to pick a due date, so I'll just from the drop-down menu pick a date. I'm going to tab over to supplier information. This is a numeric supplier ID that we need to select for this field. But you'll notice that we have the supplier ID here, and then we have the actual name of the supplier, so it's easier for the requester to pick a supplier when they need to. So I've picked supplier 15, which is Cost and Associates. So it populates next to the supplier ID field the name of the supplier, so they are aware make sure they have the right supplier. We're going to click back to details. Now I'm going to go into the accounting of this requisition. Once we go live in production, these fields here, responsibility center, campus, and fund, will pre-populate based on the user or the requester's user preferences that have been preloaded. You'll notice that account has been populated. That's based on the category we selected. For today's demonstration, I'm going to pick this responsibility center, or RC, and I'm going to pick Markham, so it matches up with our ship to location, and a fund, operating funds. Again, these three fields will pre-populate on the production site. They can be changed if it's needed to change the person or the department that needs to be charged. I'm just going to scroll over far over to the right. If you need to distribute this purchase amongst several campuses, or several responsibility centers, you can click the Add button and add as many lines as you want to separate out that cost. That will also create multiple workflows for approval of this requisition, but for this demonstration, I'll keep it at one line only. So we're going to go back. Within PeopleSoft, you should always look for a return to main page. You should not be using the browser back arrows. That will just take you out of the system. So right here, we have a return to main page. So now we're back to the main page. We have completed all the fields to save the requisition. You notice now that we have a merchandise amount plus the 13% tax for a total purchase of $847,500. Our next action here is to save the requisition. So we'll do a save. And you'll notice up here the rec ID is next. Once it is saved, it will provide a rec ID. So there we go. We now have a rec ID of PR, quite a few zeros, 330. So at this point, you could leave the screen and the requisition will be saved. What people will generally do, though, is they'll want to submit the requisition for approval. We are in a test site, so the steps here are submit for approval, which is the green checkbox, and then a budget check. In the production site, what's going to happen is there's going to be a submit for approval, and what's going to happen immediately after that is a budget check. So before the requisition goes to the first approver, there will be a budget check and validation that there is money available to make this purchase. So now we're going to submit for approval. And you'll notice the status is open. And once it goes through its checks for approving or submitting, the status will change to pending. We now have a status of pending. As I said, in the production site, the live site, that submit will also do a budget check. But since this is still a test site, this is a two-step process. So now I'm going to do a budget check. You'll notice the budget status right now is not checked, and now we have a valid budget status. So what this requisition now is started its workflow for approval. The requester can come to the bottom of the screen and view approvals. And they can see that the approval process, the first step, it will go to Renata and then on to the buyers. And what's going to happen in the system, once Renata approves the requisition, it will not come back to Renata again. Once Renata approves, this will become it will say skipped, and it will go on to David Agnew for approval. The workflow we have set up in PeopleSoft for requisitions is chair manager can approve a requisition up to $10,000. Any requisition over $10,000 is going to come to purchasing. We're going to review, check for the purchasing policy and procedures, make sure they're being followed. If we need to get quotes, we'll start that process to get the competitive quotes for this project. Once we're satisfied that those requirements have been met, we will approve the requisition, and it will continue on its approval process. So by the time it gets to the Dean Directors, VP, President, they will know that the purchasing policy has been applied, budget check has happened, there is money available. So when they come to the requisition to approve, they will be confident in knowing that the policies for purchasing have been followed and that monies are available to do this purchase. What I want to do now is jump over to the approval process that senior management will see more often. So now I'm also in PeopleSoft, but I'm at the work list level. This is the button or link up here, and managers can come in here and they can see all actions that require their approval in one spot. So I'm just going to scroll down. Here you'll see there's a requisition waiting Renata's approval. It's requisition 328. So I'm just going to click on that requisition, bring it up, and it's going to show the requisition number, show her who created the requisition, the dollar amount of the requisition, brief description of what it is, and down here is either an approve or a deny button. So the steps here are that they need to click this box to select the line. If you can imagine, there could be a requisition with 10 items on it. You have the ability of selecting lines that you want to approve. So you could select line 1 through 5, bring those into this list, and approve. You're only approving part of a requisition. For this scenario, you only have one line here. So what happens here is you select the line, then you either approve or deny. If you're approving, it continues on its workflow through the approval process. If you deny, the requisition will go back to the requester, and you can put a note in here that you don't want to make this purchase for whatever the reason is, or you want to change something that's on the requisition. So let's just do an approve here. So now it shows approved by Renata, and it's coming on to purchasing. You'll notice that my name has been skipped and it's going to Jason because the system knows that I created this requisition. It's smart enough to know that I shouldn't be the one approving this rec again because I was the requester. So it's going to go on to Jason. And then after that, it will continue on its path up through to David. Once it clears David, the system will take that requisition, it will automatically create a purchase order, and it will send it out to the supplier. And that's how you create and approve a purchase requisition. Thanks for taking time today to have a look at this video.